That's why I wouldn't even come close to it.
It's hard. Thanks.
Are you good?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm on. That was the first time that my last name was not butchered, ever, so I appreciate it. Anyone who's actually looked at the lineup of content over the next 2 days, I think you'll agree that it's pretty awesome. I mean, there's a lot of debate and discussion around data, technology, multi-screen viewing, and just the overall progression of the digital media marketplace. And that's exactly what we should be talking about, because it is one of, if not the most important parts of the business today. I'm going to buck the trend, and for the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about television. And I'm going to do that because I honestly, wholeheartedly believe that after years and years of planning and talking about it, that the television business is finally starting to trend in a way that's going to reflect the content that they're going to talk about over the next couple of days. I really do, and I know it's been talked about before, but I'm going to show you why. You know, it's very easy to crap on television. It's very easy to say what's broken, what's wrong, what's need to be fixed, where it needs to go, and I get all that. But it's just as easy to forget about how far we've come. You know, reflecting back, if you look over the past 5 years, we watched half of the United States adopt the DVR, right? And that has challenges to our business. But we've also figured out how to track commercial avoidance to the campaign level, as well as figure out the compensation by adjusting the rating system. And that was a really big deal. I mean, over the past year, and right now, we're watching all kinds of people of all ages consume television programming on tablets, smartphones, computers, internet-connected televisions, and through the set-top box. And that's a big step versus where we were even 2 years ago. And some of the criticism we get along with that is there's no scale to it. There's no scale to the viewing. And I promise you, and you'll see that that's not true. But the biggest piece of negativity that I get from people all across the business around multi-screen viewing is that it leads to fragmentation. And the piece that I think everyone's missing is it is the best type of fragmentation you can possibly imagine. So multi-screen viewing, sure. Does it contribute to the erosion of linear television viewing? Sure, but so what? Because at the same time, it contributes to an increase in overall viewing of television content. And I'll take more over less any day, even if it means it's happening across different screens. Because every single one of those screens has the ability to target, track, measure, and engage viewers in a way that we just haven't been able to on big television. So with that in mind, the one thing that everyone should really think about that I think a lot of people have not noticed is over the past 9 to 12 months, the television ecosystem, all the systems and infrastructure and data sets that contribute to this reinvention of television have really come to fruition. I mean, right now, today, we can directionally measure TV viewing well below the demographic. 2/3 of the country of TV households can click on a TV commercial with a remote control and link through to an interactive experience. And just over 1/3 of every US TV household can receive a specific one-to-one individual television commercial to the household. So rather than talk about what my perspective is on all of that, I want to spend the next 5 to 10 minutes actually showing you what we believe are the top TV trends in 2013, and then show you some actual case studies of what we're doing now. And every single case study that I'm going to show you is either happening right now or is no more than 3 months old. So I'm not going to show you something that is 2 years old. So 3 things. We talk a lot about data. We talk a lot about audience buying. We hear a lot about programmatic infrastructure and all the stuff that seems common knowledge in the digital space, but hasn't been in TV for some time. But right now, today, Nielsen's the currency. I get it. And if you're going to trade on something, you need a single source, and we're probably going to trade on Nielsen for the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean we can't look at, plan, post below those Nielsen demographics. I mean, you can trade on women 25 to 54, but that doesn't mean that you can't plan and post, or at least see how your television campaign delivers against women with children under 12 that make $60,000, households that make over $200,000 with a credit score of over 750, what people drive, the fact that they use Windex or Speed Stick. All of that is actually very, very, very real. I mean, companies like Dish and Cablevision and Comcast and data aggregators like Rentrek and Kantar and TiVo, they all have the ability to actually help us pull together this information. And we're not talking about a panel of 19,000. We're talking about 20+ million households aligned with shopper purchase level data. So we're actually now beginning to see how our customers are viewing, what they're viewing, when they're viewing, how long they're viewing, as opposed to just the segments. And that's important because once we start to understand who our customers are and what our customers are actually watching, then we can use all those tools and trends and technologies that we just talked about to then target those viewers, either down to the zip code level, where almost 2/3 of the country can actually receive it, or down to the individual household level. And I'm not going to pretend to believe that every single television spot is always going to be in a hyper-targeted fashion. There's always going to be a need for mass reach. But what advertisers really need to start thinking about, and what they are thinking about, and what I really think is going to start happening in 2014, is people are starting to recognize not only who they really want to reach, but the value of the waste. So we're doing the math. We're starting to understand, here's the frequency to everyone, to adults 18 to 49, to the broad Nielsen demography. But here's how we want to increase that frequency to these core hyper segments, and here's how we can use that technology then to track how much more, or not at all, efficient that hyper-targeted campaign was. Because just because you can define a segment and target it doesn't necessarily mean that's the most economically responsible piece. And that's what makes this so challenging. So here's a couple of things that we're actually doing right now that makes a lot of sense. So we have a client right now that spends a lot of money in the local marketplace, right? There's 210 DMAs. But within those 210 DMAs, there's just under 3,000 ad zones, insertable ad zones. So you can buy a market or you can buy a piece of the market. And we took one advertiser that buys Los Angeles. But what we found is the majority of their customers, based on real sales data, was right here. So we used the set-top box and the zone level capabilities by several cable operators, and we sent our commercials here to where our customers are, over here to where they're not. And this was so very simple, right? This was a high-end product, and the people here could afford the high-end product and actually were buying the high-end product. The people here, well, a lot of them couldn't even afford a poster of the high-end product. So that turned out to be effective. Now here's where we took it down a step further. This is where we took one of the automotives and we actually determined who our customers were, what people were driving, and we sent those commercials directly to the individual household. But we were able to incorporate a control and an exposed research campaign. So it's not just about the targeting, but it was also about the effectiveness of that campaign, and it did work, and that advertiser will be re-upping again and adding to scale. But it's not just who people are driving. We're targeting households that have dogs and cats. We're targeting households based on people that buy butter and use deodorant, and that's really the biggest thing that's happened to the targeted end of television over the past 3 months, and that's the overlay of purchase level data, because that's what allows us to target customers and not demography. Data is allowing us to identify customers as opposed to demography. Technology is allowing us to find and insert to that level, and then it's our media math that has to help us determine what the overall frequency is. So beyond that, we talked a little bit about interactivity and the ability to engage, and that 2/3 number that I started off with, 2/3 of US TV households absolutely can click on a television commercial with the remote control. Even more can interact with a television commercial via a tablet, smartphone, via all the second screen applications that are out there now. But right now, to almost 60 million households, right? Almost that entire footprint, we were able to put together a campaign where it was a regular television spot, the viewer clicked on it, and consumers had the ability to spend lots of time with that brand. Click to receive more information in the mail, videos, and these were the same videos that we were already using to repurpose digitally. Now we're then using them on television. And this is not going away. I mean, we all heard about Canoe and why that was a bite in the ass, but that was old technology, and that probably wasn't built properly. That's changing, and in 2014, you're going to see T-commerce, right? You're going to see people buying things through the remote control, and you're going to see advertisers repurposing a lot of what they're doing online and now complementing that with television. So we always talk about how the digital marketplace complements the TV marketplace. Interactivity is the reverse. That's where the television marketplace can actually complement what we're doing online. But the real exciting thing for me, and this is the hardest part to sort of get through to the television marketplace, is getting beyond Nielsen. Nielsen's great, Nielsen's the currency, but at the end of the day, we ask 19,000 people what they watch. We assume the other 114 million watch the same. We buy networks and programs based on what those 19,000 people are watching. We shoot out the ad, the people who see it watch it, the people who don't see watch it, we clap our hands and we call it a day. And billions of dollars are traded that way. And well, that's probably not going to change immediately. We do now have the ability to introduce set-top box data that helps us directionally understand beneath the demography. So this is a campaign where we looked at the rating of a bunch of television networks against the core demo, and I know you can't see that up here, I can barely see it here, but what it really shows is the Nielsen rating against the core demo of adults 18 to 49, and then the rating using set-top box data to those same networks against moviegoers. So what that helped us understand was how these various different networks performed against the segment that we really wanted to reach. And then you could take that a step further and apply the cost of the unit and demonstrate the economics of this. Now there's challenges to it. It's not perfect. The two things that Nielsen does well that none of the set-top box systems can do to date is they target people and not households. And the smart people say that it is a statistically relevant sample of the United States of America. How 19,000 can represent 100 million, I don't know, but there's people a lot smarter than me that say it is, so therefore it is. But access to the set-top box data, the ability to mine it is here and it's now. And that's probably the last thing that I want to leave you with, and what excites me about going to work every day and being involved in this space is this stuff is here, it's now, and it's real. The ability to mine data, apply it to television, figure out what we're really spending on a cost per thousand to our target, increase our frequency to our customers beyond the demo. Right? These aren't just pipe dreams. These aren't just hopes anymore. These are actually true, and a lot of advertisers are doing it. And anybody that says this stuff is just technological jargon, I guarantee you they're 100% misinformed. It's not for everyone. Every brand isn't gonna utilize this, but I think we all owe it to ourselves to go through the process. I mean, define your segment, figure out the actual audience in the television marketplace to that customer segment, understand the frequency, map out what the potential reach is, and then do the math. And if the economics work, this is something worth doing. And in many cases, the economics don't work, because what we find is the smaller the segment, the higher the price, and it doesn't pay to pay a $45 cost per thousand when you're selling a $1.50 toothbrush. But it is here, the stuff is now, and I think in the 2014 year, we're gonna see a lot more advertisers working in this data and technology-driven television space than we ever have before. And like I said, these 4 case studies, 2 of them are happening now, and 2 of them just ended and were running 3 months ago. So I think I have about a minute and a half before I get the hook, if there's any questions. And if not, then I get to leave early. Perfect. Thank you very much.